Hospitals never truly sleep. They only dim. Lights soften. Corridors stretch longer. Sounds travel farther than they should. And somewhere between midnight and morning, routines begin to slip. This happened at St. Aldan Medical Center, a hospital that closed its north wing in 1996 after a structural fire. The floor still exists. It just isn't used anymore. Yet every night, shift staff member eventually learns the elevators still stop there. Nurse Daniel Reyes started his first overnight rotation on a Tuesday, 2:07 a.m., the slowest hour of a hospital shift. Paperwork time. He was charting vitals when a soft ding echoed from the nurse station monitor. Room N312. Call light activated. Daniel frowned. The N-wing had been sealed for almost 30 years. He assumed a system glitch. Then it happened again. Ding! Same room. He radioed security. No response. The line crackled, then cut to static. The other nurse on duty, Carla, looked up from her coffee. "Ignore it," she said, too quickly. Daniel tried to laugh it off, but the monitor stayed lit. Call request active. A minute passed, then another. Hospitals run on rules, and one of them is simple. You never ignore a patient call. So Daniel grabbed a flashlight and followed the corridor past the last operating ward to the chained double doors of the old north wing. The call light stopped. He almost turned around. Then behind the doors, a bed alarm sounded. Long, continuous. The chain wasn't locked, just wrapped. He slipped through. The hallway smelled wrong. Stale antiseptic and old smoke trapped in walls. Every room number was faded. He found 312. The door was open. Inside, an empty bed. But the pillow was indented, like someone had just lifted their head. Then slowly, the call button slid off the mattress and hit the floor behind him. A voice weak and breathless. "Nurse, you never came." Daniel ran. Next morning, maintenance checked the system. There had never been wiring connected to N312 since 1996. But that wasn't the worst part. The old incident report from the fire listed only one unresolved fatality. Patient in room 312. Cause: smoke inhalation while waiting for assistance. Daniel requested transfer. Denied. Staffing shortage. So he stayed. 3 nights later, 3:11 a.m., a new patient arrived. Margaret Holloway, late 70s. pneumonia observation. Sweet, polite, lucid. But she kept asking one strange question. Why are the other patients walking around at night? There were no ambulatory patients on the ward. Daniel reassured her gently. At 2:45 a.m., she pressed the call button. They're waiting in the hall. He checked. No one. When he returned, she seemed embarrassed. I must be dreaming. At 3:02 a.m., the automatic doors to the corridor opened. No motion sensor triggered. They simply parted. Margaret stared past Daniel, smiled warmly, and said, "Oh, you finally came to take me downstairs." Daniel turned. The hallway was empty. When he faced her again, her oxygen monitor flatlined. No struggle, no distress, just gone. Doctors confirmed peaceful cardiac arrest. He began discharge documentation. That's when he noticed a second chart printing from the station terminal. No one had touched it. Patient name, Margaret Holloway. Disposition, transferred to North Wing, 3:03 a.m. The North Wing system had been disconnected decades ago, yet the printer timestamp was current. And under attending staff signature, it listed Nurse Daniel Reyes. He hadn't signed anything, but the signature matched his handwriting perfectly. Daniel stopped sleeping after that, because every time he closed his eyes, he dreamed of hospital corridors filled with patients waiting quietly in chairs, not suffering, not panicking, just waiting to be called. On his final shift, the elevator malfunctioned. He pressed floor 2. Doors closed. It went down instead. Basement. Skipped. Then lower. No button for the level displayed. Just floor N. Doors opened. The north wing, but restored. Lights warm. Rooms occupied. Nurses moving calmly. Machines humming normally. No smoke damage. No decay. A working hospital floor. No one reacted to him. They simply continued their routines. A nurse approached. He froze. It was Carla, the co-worker who told him to ignore the call. But younger, unburned, alive. She handed him a clipboard. "You're late. We've been short-staffed since the fire." He tried to speak but couldn't. She pointed down the hall. Rows of patients sat quietly. Among them, Margaret Holloway. And at the far end, room 312. Inside the room, someone lay in the bed, covered in smoke stains, breathing shallow, waiting. The chart in Daniel's hands read, "Primary nurse assigned, Daniel Reyes. The patient slowly turned their head toward him. It was him, burned, coughing, eyes pleading. You didn't come. The hallway lights flickered. The elevator dinged behind him. He woke up on the real hospital floor, co-workers shaking him. He had collapsed at the nurse station. Time 3:03 a.m. He resigned that morning. But security footage showed something strange. At 3:02 a.m., Daniel stood up, walked toward the elevator, and spoke to someone no camera could see. Some hospitals treat the living, some hold the dead, and some keep working forever because the night shift never ends.